Head of Investor Relations at Pan-African Resources, Hethen Hira, joins us now live to tell us more about this story. A very good afternoon to you, Hethen. Thanks very much for your time. I guess the question that many people have been asking since this story broke is how so many people got to be underground illegally in the first place.
Hi, good afternoon, viewer, and thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon to the viewers and listeners. Viewer, this mines in Barberton, they're not a traditional one-shaft operation where people go down on a skip and then do their work and come out. So we do have that facility where, you can go down a shaft, and then there's adits as well that goes to the working areas. But in Barberton, there's a history of gold mining, and it's in a nature reserve where there's a lot of access points. It's very mountainous terrain. There's a lot of adits and ventilation shafts. And it's a vast terrain that people can access without being detected because of the nature of the terrain. And that's how people have been getting into the old working areas that were mined many years ago, and where there are small showings of gold, which is economic at these gold prices. So that's how they were getting in and following the mineralization to get underground. And over time, we've been arresting people on a weekly basis. And in the last year, 4,000 people have been arrested. And most of them, have come out again because, the processing wasn't up to scratch. The police couldn't cope. So, they're back on and they know where to go, and they go back. And eventually they were living in camps there and taking food and cooking and, getting people to mine underground for them. And it became a real problem. We couldn't secure our assets. We spent a lot on security. We couldn't secure the safety of our employees. And, when the National Police Service had the Vala and Godi intervention, that is when, we took action and had the resources to, to get to the stage where we could eradicate most of the camps that are out there. And that's how the big number that we have seen have come up. And hopefully, we've got to the bulk of the situation. And the small numbers we're seeing coming out now are probably people that are still going in to retrieve things that were left behind, or are still, on the mountain, trying to get back in. But I think we found the bulk of the issue, and it's another month or two of operations continuing. So hopefully we can secure areas where we find access points.
Excuse my ignorance, but it doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. If already you had more than 4,000 people arrested, but many of them are coming out, and then now you have this Operation Valam Godi, police coming all gung-ho, saying we're arresting these people. What happens to the 4,000? And what will happen to these people if they couldn't deal with the 4,000 that were already arrested?
Yeah, so I think the 4,000 is the number over the year. And, many of them were duplicate arrests. So, they were processed and then they weren't charged, or, they weren't deported, and then they found their way back. So, the 500 were part of that arrest that we made. So, we couldn't eradicate the problem. It kept coming back. And this intervention, national intervention, hopefully now will resolve that whole situation. So it's not 4,000 people, at one go. It's over time that we've arrested. Some of them have come back, and I think that's the bulk that now have been found.
There's a charge that you guys are cutting corners because, among other things, you have to save costs and the like. I want to take a listen to what David van Wyk from the Benchmarks Foundation, they've been doing a lot of studies on this phenomenon, but watching closely Operation Valumgodi as well. I want to take a listen to what he had to say on one of our shows last night.
The same thing with the Buffelsfontein mine in Stilfontein. The owners took absolutely no responsibility for what happened there. Yet those people were operating for a pretty long time underground. And so I would say that the government is failing to regulate effectively to ensure that mining companies do what is necessary to make their mine operations safe and secure. I would also say that the mining companies cut costs. You see, these are not profitable mines. They were sold to the current owners, Pan African Resources, by the previous owners, exactly because they were no longer profitable for the previous owners. Now, for the new owners to make them profitable, they cut costs. They cut costs in security. They cut costs in labor management. They try to cut costs in wages. They retrenched 240 workers in May this year.
Would you vouch for whatever measures you may have put in place to make sure that these operations are safe and sound?
I think Mr. van Wyk has got the wrong end of the stick here. This is not an unprofitable mine. This was not sold to us because it was unprofitable or at the end of its life. The Pan-African mines are hugely profitable. It's not a Buffelsfontein case or a Stilfontein case where they were closed down. We are spending $50 an ounce on security. We've got top-of-the-range technology that we are using, body cameras, drones, heat-seeking, to protect our employees and to protect our assets. This cannot be likened to Stilfontein or Buffelsfontein. It's an operating mine. We are the current owners. We have a valid mining right from the DMR. We are audited for safety and security and all those protocols. That is not the case at Barberton mines at all. You can look at our audited financials. Every year we report interim results. The reason for the retrenchment was because of gold theft. If the resource says there's a 10-year life of mine and there's X number of ounces to be mined, and half of that comes out, that is not the case. That is theft, and it needed to be addressed, and we've done it responsibly with national intervention with police, and we have done it with our own security services. So we've got an impeccable safety record at Barberton mines. There's over 5 million fatality shifts. So I don't agree with Mr. van Wyk.
But then it would seem that your measures aren't adequate because, as you said right from the beginning, it's not a one-shaft mine. There's a lot of access points, as you said, but it's clear then that whatever measures you put in place don't actually take into account everything, or are simply inadequate if hundreds of people can still make it underground.
Exactly, that's the nature of the terrain. That is the nature of the terrain. It's a vast area. We've done our best to curb the situation. I can just, ask our listeners and viewers to predict or to picture what happens if these mines were not in place. If illegals were running rife there and mining all the adits, all the holes, there'll be total collapse. There'll be, poaching. There'll be the nature reserve will be overrun. We are actually protecting communities and assets in this area, mining responsibly, looking after the environment, have rehabilitation guarantees in place. All that is there. It's just the extent of the issue that needs to be addressed, and illegal miners need to be curbed, and that is what is happening with these interventions. So it's been going on for years. We're finally making some headway, and investigations are ongoing, and it will continue.
But what for you should be the long-term solution to these problems? May have been Stilfontein yesterday, and it's Sheba today. We don't know which one it will be tomorrow. What's the long-term solution to this problem?
People should be, arrested, deported, put away for a long time, and it must be made known that illegal mining will not be tolerated, and the sentences and the punishment will be harsh, and that will be a deterrent. And, it's understandable the gold price is high at this time. It's very lucrative, but in the long term, these are not sustainable. And to be sustainable, you've got to mine properly. You've got to mine with all the systems in place. But illegal mining will continue. It's the nature of the market. But what we are doing is, in the best of our ability, we're spending the money on security and trying to secure our assets and the long-term future of the region and the country as a whole.
It's the nature of the beast, you said, but have your shareholders not expressed any disquiet that if this continues, then these mines may not be as profitable as you say they are at the moment?
The shareholders are already voting with their feet. South African mines all have an inherent discount to mines in other parts of the world. They don't have to spend $50 an ounce on security to ensure that the mines remain profitable. So, all our shares are trading at a discount. People are aware there's issues with illegal mining in South Africa. It's part of the risk reward nature of the investments, and that's where we are today.
Hethen Hira, let me say thank you very much for your time. He is the head of investor relations at Pan African Resources. Police telling us today that most underground camps in the Sheba Gold Mine in Barberton have now been cleared, and of course the legal processes are continuing to then deal with the people who are accused of illegal mining in that area and mine.